Welcome, my dear listeners. Stay with me to get the spoilers first and subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen on The Bold and the Beautiful. Thomas comes back to Los Angeles, hits Deacon, and ends Taylor's new relationship. There is never true peace on The Bold and the Beautiful. This is just to claim before the next explosion. Right now, the show's real spoiler trail shows Taylor and Deacon making love for the first time, then trying to get away from a dangerous situation as Sheila's suspicion grows. There are also a lot of recaps and previews that show the couple being watched and their secret relationship becoming a new problem. This week, the show is giving viewers the official on-screen tension. It's the kind of setup that makes a return like Thomas Forrester's seem inevitable. So think about what will happen when Thomas comes back to Los Angeles at the worst possible time. He doesn't come back quietly. He doesn't come in with a polite warning or a soft talk. He walks into the chaos that is already going on around his family. He can already hear whispers about Deacon and Taylor and see how Sheila's shadow is hanging over the whole thing. And as soon as Thomas knows what's going on between Taylor and Deacon, he does what he does best when he thinks someone he loves is in danger. He reacts first and thinks later. The first thing he sees isn't love. It is a betrayal. Thomas does not see Deacon as a misunderstood man looking for a second chance. He's a constant reminder of all the bad choices that have hurt the Forrester family. He is the man who has made life harder, broken trusts, and left a trail of emotional wreckage behind him. And now Taylor, the woman Thomas has always loved fiercely and wanted to protect, is in the middle of that storm, trying to believe that things can be different in this time with Deacon. Thomas cannot accept that. He comes to town already on edge, the kind of edge that comes from being in love and scared at the same time. He probably spent the whole flight going over a speech he won't use. He has probably told himself to stay calm. He will pay attention, he will ask things, he won't make a fuss. But as soon as he sees Deacon too close to Taylor, he loses that control. Thomas hits him. Not because he likes drama for the sake of drama, but because every part of him sees this is an emergency. Deacon shouldn't get Taylor involved in another messy emotional spiral, especially since the rest of the family is already having trouble keeping Sheila's chaos under control. Thomas' pounce isn't just an attack. It says that Taylor is not a place for Deacon to hide, heal, or trying out his feelings. She is part of the family, and Thomas is done letting people forget that. The punch hits like a promise in a soap opera. It says that the story is no longer about whether or not Deacon and Taylor might get along. It says that the story is about whether Thomas is willing to blow up the room to stop them. And if you know Thomas, the answer is always yes when he thinks his mother is being used, manipulated, and lead to heartbreak. That's why this made-up version of the story works so well at that moment. Thomas is the emotional wrecking ball in the middle of all the current on-screen pressure. Sheila is suspicious. Taylor and Deacon are hiding their relationship and they are already being watched and scrambling to cover their tracks. The show is already letting people know that Taylor and Deacon's relationship is weak and dangerous. Thomas coming back just makes that danger more real. The reason Thomas returned hard so much is that he doesn't just disagree with Deacon. He doesn't like it because he knows how it works. Deacon has always been able to look honest until everyone around him has to pay for it. Thomas knows that. He sees that his mother is trying too hard to protect a relationship that was never meant to last through all of life's challenges, and he sees Sheila, always hiding, ready to stab him in the back as soon as she gets the chance. That's what makes the punch feel like it has to happen. This isn't just a jealous son acting out, it lets the pressure out. Thomas gets home to find that Taylor has gotten too close to a man who cannot tell the difference between peace and danger. He decides that pain is the only language Deacon will understand. In soap opera terms, that's not just a fight, that is a warning shot that was fired at the center of the show. The room changes after the punch. Deacon is shocked, angry, and embarrassed, and maybe even a little scared scared for a short time. He has been through enough to know that Thomas doesn't hit people for no reason. He will feel the pain in his body, but the damage to his reputation is worse. Everyone in the world now knows that Thomas has crossed a line that cannot be crossed without consequences because he punched Taylor in front of him. Taylor is stuck between her son's anger and her own confusion. He knows that Thomas is trying to keep her safe. She also knows that protection can turn into control if it goes too far. That is the impossible place Taylor always seems to end up when the men around her think they should be involved in her love life. She wants to feel something real, warmth and calm. Instead, she has to deal with a fight that brings back all the pain and anger to the Forrester family's past. And what about Deacon? Deacon suddenly looks like a man who thought he was going to have a quiet time in his life but instead walking right into a family trap. The punch doesn't stop Thomas. He makes it clear that Deacon is done in this meta version of the story. No more lovely visits, no more confessions after dark. Stop acting like Taylor is just another girl he can talk this way into. Thomas makes it clear that Deacon cannot date Taylor while he has anything to say about it. He might not be able to control Taylor, but he can make Deacon's life so hard that he cannot afford to keep trying to get to know her. That is what Thomas really uses as a weapon: intensity. He knows how to make a room seem smaller. He knows how to stand there and look calm for just long enough for everyone else to see that he isn't calming down at all. He knows exactly what to say to get Deacon to see that this is more than just an argument. This is about having respect, about limits, about being loyal to your family, about how Taylor isn't just a temporary fling for a guy who still doesn't know how to stop making things hard. Thomas' interference also shows the bigger problem in Taylor and Deacon's story. Spoilers say that their relationship is already stained because Sheila is watching them getting things wrong and making things worse. That means Thomas isn't coming into a healthy relationship. He is coming into a relationship that is already broken by fear and secrecy. And that's why his punch is so important. It's not just a response to Deacon, it's a response to the whole mess. Deacon and Taylor may think they are fighting for a new beginning, but every moment they spend together is already clouded by Sheila, guilt, and the idea that their relationship is built on a shaky foundation that won't hold up under stress. Thomas can see that instability right away. He doesn't need therapy talk. With just one look, he knows everything is going to go wrong. That doesn't mean he's right in the most obvious way though. Thomas is not suddenly a saint just because he wants to protect someone. Punching someone is never classy. Part of the fun of Thomas' return is that he always makes the audience wonder if he is protecting his family or running over everyone in his path. He can be sweet, smart, and very loyal, but he can also be very direct when he thinks the situation calls for it. That duality is what makes him interesting. He is both the protector and the danger in the story. Taylor has spent most of her life trying to keep the Forrester family's emotional center together. Now, in just one brutal second, she has to watch her son and her romantic future collide. It's a very soap opera-like moment because no one can just be happy. Thomas might not let Taylor have Deacon if she wants him. If Thomas is right, Taylor's heart may be heading straight for another disaster. If Thomas is wrong, then his meddling is just one more example of people making decisions for Taylor. Deacon, on the other hand, is not likely to back down easily. He won't want to live looking weak, even if the punch makes him quiet for a second. He knows that the Forrester family knows how to use judgment as a weapon. He knows that people in Taylor's life already think he is the wrong kind of man. He also knows that Thomas' arrival gives everyone in the room a good reason to wonder if Taylor should trust him in the first place. That's why the fight could get worse before it gets better. Thomas might come back ready to fight, but Deacon isn't the type of guy who runs away when someone hits him. He has been through too much, fought too hard and gotten himself into too many tight spots to give up now. If anything, the punch might make him more determined to show Taylor that he is serious. That would only make Thomas angrier, and the cycle would keep going until someone says something they cannot take back. That is the soap engine going as fast as it can. A son who is trying to help his mother, a man trying to get a future, a family watching both from the outside, and Sheila, always circling the fire, ready to make sure everyone gets dirty. The best part is that the current spoilers have already gotten the audience halfway to this explosion. Taylor and Deacon's secret is still going on. Sheila is on guard. Someone is watching them. A dangerous situation is already happening. So Thomas' return isn't random. It is the next shockwave that will happen. He goes back to Los Angeles, sees what Deacon is up to, and decides that if he has to hurt someone to end the relationship, he will. He hits first because he thinks love needs a shield sometimes. He stops the dating because he thinks Taylor deserves better than a man who brings danger into the room with him, and he does it all with the kind of explosive energy that only Thomas Forrester can bring to a scene. When the dust settles, no one is really the same. People have publicly shamed Deacon and made him defend his action. Men who say they care about Taylor is always fight over her life. Thomas has made it clear that Deacon will have to go through him if he wants Taylor. And Sheila, who is watching from somewhere in the background, will almost certainly use the violence and tension to turn the story into another disaster. That's why this made-up return works so well. It has a lot of action, emotion, and fits right in with the kind of covers that the bold and the beautiful loves. Everything a soap needs to turn a relationship into a war, love, betrayal, family loyalty, and one well-timed punch. And this is where everything stops feeling like a love story. It starts looking like a ticking time bomb. Because the moment Thomas throws that punch, he doesn't just hit Deacon. He shatters whatever fragile trust was holding the situation together. And honestly, I don't see this as a protection anymore. It feels like control dressed up as loyalty. And that's where things get dangerous. Because when someone decides they know what's best for you, they rarely stop it just one line crossed. But here's the twist that really pulls me in. What if Thomas just made Deacon stronger instead of pushing him away? And what if Taylor, instead of stepping back, finally pushes back against both of them? Because let's be real, Taylor being caught in the middle again isn't growth, it's a pattern, and patterns in soaps are meant to break eventually. I actually think this moment could flip everything. Not end the relationship but force it into the open, where secrets cannot hide anymore. And if Sheila is still watching, then this explosion might be exactly the cover she's been waiting for. So now the real question becomes, did Thomas just save his mother, or did he push her straight into an even bigger disaster? And if Deacon refuses to walk away, how far will Thomas go next time? Because this didn't feel like a final warning, it left like the beginning. Something tells me this isn't the end of the fight, it's just the moment the war finally showed its face.